page security.
Nice.
So I'm taking a look to the migration. Migration
Mhm.
looks like absolutely straightforward. Basically, you just like export the data and import it to the new. I mean, you need to have the two databases running. That's an important fact. You
Okay,
need to have them running and then start the import export process.
cool. Okay, I'm glad it's not going to be too hard. That's great. Because in theory, that would be like it's a pretty big shift, right? I mean, in theory. Um, nice, nice. Cool. Yeah. So let's talk about it more. I guess first, everyone, welcome to the Cartography 1028 meeting. Happy Thursday. Thursday morning for us here on the West Coast. Um, yeah. So yeah. Wait, Eric. So let's dive right into it. So talk about the Neo4j uh, 4x upgrade
Migration. Yeah.
migration. Yeah. Wait, can you send the link or the
Sure.
migration docs? Let's take a look at those. Yeah.
So these are the applications. I will share the. So there are a few things that I mean, we might need to check on the syntax so that uh, basically we don't mess around with the syntax that we have in the Intel models.
Uh-huh.
Uh, uh, we can either do that via some kind of linting, for example, or just a small script just to verify that the syntax indeed matches with
Gotcha.
anything that is deprecated. But again, it doesn't look like they like super break up everything. I mean, just like some extra functions really that they
That's
are
awesome.
adding. And I'm talking about the migration. So the migration procedure looks like, I mean, our current version is 3.4, right? Let me confirm that. Now, version. Now, what can I see the version of this time? Hmm, I think that we can. Oh no, it's 3.5. Okay. So we're running 3.5, and there is
Okay.
an exact migration guide from 3.5 to 4.0.
Nice.
Uh,
Not
so it's
bad.
so, so in order to do it, the process. So there are no changes to the FG configurations. Uh, File formats from an running server.
Oh, for me, so for some reason, when I click on when I click on the 3.5 to 4x migration guide, it requires me to log in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Huh,
Hmm.
weird.
I may be already logging
Interesting.
because I'm doing the migration guides already. Uh, Former so yeah, I mean, so it looks like the important part is that the new version is still running.
Got it. Perfect. That's great. That's great. Okay. Hopefully, this will be a pretty simple thing. Just take a few days and get it moved over. I'm sure there'll be a lot of edge cases though. Not afraid to do the
There
big
will,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what will be the plan? I mean, because I mean the initial setup starts with the Docker container with Neo4j 3.5, right?
Mhm.
Uh, can we simply change to 4.0 and see if it just turns on?
Right. No, that makes sense. And actually, I think there's already a PR out for this. It just needs to
Ah,
be
okay.
refreshed a little bit more. Looks like 133 files changed though. Wow. Um, yeah, and it's also this PR was started back in January, so it's probably some big changes to be made. Um, yeah. Whew. Yeah, this thing's huge. I'll send it here. Like,
Yeah, please, thank you.
yeah.
Ah, it makes sense. Driver also changed.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, maybe we can let's keep chatting about other things too, like the new features that have come out in the last month or so. I think one thing that's really cool that we should talk about, and Eric, I'm sure that Alex has talked with you about this as well, but like uh, the managed transactions in the ECR scan. I think it goes in other things
Yes,
too, like in IAM, right? I think it goes in IAM as well. ECR plus IAM
I
syncs. Yeah. This is so interesting to me because, like, we used to run cartography the most simple way. It was like one or two really, really big machines. Actually, I think it was just one really big machine. All the syncs ran on that. The Neo4j database ran on the same machine. Now we're using all these different pods, and we have to think about the network a lot more. So, Alex has been thinking about the load balancers, thinking about whether using Envoy. Oh, oh, sorry, just got a
no
weird
worries.
Slack notification. But yeah, thinking about whether we should be using Envoy or yeah, so I think this is really interesting. Maybe I'll share this PR really quick. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, so like the issue was just loading 50 megabytes worth of data, not a crazy amount of data, to a remote Neo4j server. So for us, that was just running on a different K8s pod. Um, but it kept crashing with the servers unavailable there after running for
After
many
running for
hours, which
the,
is
yeah,
yeah, really weird. So we started using managed transactions, which is something that a mature database solution like this should be doing anyway.
should
I
be
think we,
done.
we probably should be
Absolutely,
doing
yeah.
that. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Let's see if the PR is located here. We can walk through that really quick. Um, so this was the first attempt, I believe. Using this index, and then yeah, actually, sorry. So the first there was an attempt to use this new index. That didn't
Yeah.
work. Um, what ended up fixing it?
I think that there are massive transactions, but I'm not sure if they apply to like all the models or you
Right.
need to do something specific to do so.
Yeah, I think it's only yeah, it's only AWS ECR and IAM. They're the only ones that use these managed transactions.
Okay.
Yep, load ECR repo image transaction, and yeah, we started running all the queries as a transaction. And I think that fixed it, which is great. It's a relatively simple solution that just kind of fixed it. Um, very cool, very cool.
But the fix then was the new index, right?
Sorry.
So the solution was adding an index really as part of the online uh, uh, like loading the new information.
Yeah,
L-
yes.
So look, can I take a look at the code here on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
file streams,
absolutely.
or can you share the GitHub here?
Yeah, I think the code. Oh, sorry. Yeah, here. Let me share this tab instead. Um, I think this is the code. Um, And they send the link as well. But
Hmm.
uh,
I don't know. Then it has to do with the session and writing transactions. Instead of just running, it changes to write transaction, and then the write transaction has to run after the indexing. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Hmm. Right transaction. Hmm. Cool. Very, very cool.
So you
Uh,
first create the transaction, and then as part of the transaction, you pass transaction to the hint of the right transaction, and then when you run the queries, all those queries are part of the transaction. Is there a place where you need to close the transaction, or it closes automatically? I'm not sure.
that's a
I don't
great
know.
question. I guess not. I guess this is what does it. I mean, maybe here, so this is transaction run. Maybe there's something else.
Probably on the
No.
run, it like automatically closes after this query has completed, after
Yeah,
the unbind has completed. Okay.
probably. Although for some
Reasoning.
reason, I think I remember some other version of Alex doing this where he did have to close the transactions. But I guess not. Um, hmm. Yeah, probably not. Cool. They made it easier. That they made it easier in the typical database. That's great. Yeah,
Cool. So
that's what
manage
that's what
manage
Neo4j is all about.
transactions are there. Yeah, that's cool. So that basically means that whenever we want, we will need, and is that documented anyway, anywhere in the Leaf cartography repo?
Uh, that's a great question. Let me see. Let's go back here, and I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Let me.
If you create an issue for that, I can do it. It's a very simple stuff. It's just adding documentation, really. Hey, I can like, start my contribution to cartography with that.
Yeah, sure. Um, wait. Oh, whoops. Yeah, we can make a quick issue. What like add documentation for transaction handling?
Exactly. Because right now it's applying to both ECR models and IAM models. So if somebody else needs to create a new model and they need to this transaction is it's managed,
For
it's easy
sure.
for them.
Would be great to have basic docs on how transaction. It's which models works in the IAM ECR modules so that the ideas.
Exactly. Yeah. And we know that there can be plenty of other models that have a big load of data and that for some reason can crash.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Uh,
I think the only piece it's the PR, like the only reference that is needed is the PR.
sure. Okay. Okay. I can add that one for sure. I think it was PR number 705. Yes, that's about right. Uh, okay. Okay. That one. Cool. Cool.
And
Cool.
it's not a bug really, so it's fine.
Right. 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 Uh, we'll make it official. I'll add all the fields, add documentation for transaction handling. Cool. 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 All right, tagged in that one too.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, cool beans. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's talk some other stuff too. Like the new
Sure.
PagerDuty module. The new PagerDuty module seems really cool. We can take a look at that.
Can we
Um,
take a look at that? Because yeah, I would love to integrate that one.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so at Lyft internally, we already ingested on-call information. I forget how. I think maybe with an internal PagerDuty module. I think, and it's so cool that Ryan Lane has open sourced this. It's great. So yeah.
But it's for ingestion. Yeah, got it, got it. I was thinking that it was like to paste stuff.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah, this is just for ingestion. This is just an Intel module
Okay,
bringing in all that data. Yeah.
got it.
I forget how we do it at Lyft. Because at Lyft we do have on-call information. I wonder if we get it from PagerDuty or some other source. Like,
We get it from other source. We don't get it directly from PagerDuty.
okay, yeah, we must get it from like the AgraFest or
It's from
something.
the AgraFest. It's from the
Yeah,
AgraFest that we get it.
interesting. Okay, right, cool, cool, cool.
I mean, we could add these to like match the information that we have from AgraFest and from PagerDuty and just like cross-reference those. But I don't know if it's really need. I will need to check with that.
No, but that'd be great. That would be great. Um, yeah, I mean, let's look at the data that PagerDuty gives, and we can talk about how it can be used. Oh wow, a lot of stuff in here.
But that is like test data, right? Oh no, it's an import cleanup.
Oh,
Okay,
this is the cleanup job. Yeah, this is crazy.
it's a cleanup job. Okay. Oh, that's for the cleanup. Wow.
There's a lot of that. Hey, so we're thinking, yeah, users, teams, oh, vendors. Okay, the services, schedule, escalation policies.
And then finally, the cleanup job.
Not bad. Yeah, escalation policies. Escalation.
Pretty clean code.
Yeah, 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 pretty clean. Um, transform and load escalation policies. So it looks like escalation policies have a okay, okay, URL back to PagerDuty. Summary, on call, name, loops, okay. Okay. Does PagerDuty have a pretty good Python SDK? Hi, PDP, API
Virus.
section. PD Pyros, yeah. Huh. PagerDuty Python REST API. Oh, wait, so PagerDuty Python REST API. Yeah, that's it. Okay, nice.
Technical.
What's up, guys?
Hey, we were just taking a look at the new PagerDuty Intel module in the open source repo. Seems
Oh,
pretty neat.
neat.
Yeah,
My,
yeah,
my,
yeah.
my
I did.
first. Go ahead, please.
Oh no, you go ahead. Sorry.
My first thought it was like, oh, we can then create pages from the graph, but no, it's more like we ingest information particularly to to cartography.
Yeah, yeah. It's an Intel module, not a ability to page from the graph. Although that would be cool too. You know, page on some random event happening in the graph. That'd also
Yeah,
be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is you just need the right, like, you need to have these custom queries for everything.
Yeah,
yeah, we need to create custom queries for everything. Yes.
that's true. It's true. And I think paging off of the graph might have maybe should happen in a different service. Perhaps feels like like something an outside thing. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you basically just need to query constantly.
yeah, pretty much.
Um,
Yeah.
And I'm
Look,
checking on in the Intel model, so for the ingestion, again, it's pretty clean how it does. Basically, just query like uh, a specific domain by domain and then start ingesting into the graph. Is there any, I mean, is the schema something Yeah, where is the schema basically?
For the PagerDuty module,
Yeah,
let us find it. It's merged in, so it should be there. Let me quick. Should be doc slash schema.
yeah.
The setup is also there in the config. Doc setup config. And then schema.
It's PagerDuty. Yeah, it's on docs schema PagerDuty.
Yep, perfect. Yeah,
I mean, first is the escalation policy, then is the schedule.
yeah. This is a pretty complex module. Not gonna lie. This is a lot.
What's the schedule layer?
Schedule layer. I mean, when I think of schedule layer, I think of like the override. Like feels like layers. Like there's primary, secondary, override. I mean,
Ah, okay, okay.
the layer feels like a funny word for it though. I don't know. I would imagine just schedules and overrides, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know how, like, especially if the graph doesn't update in real time, and like doesn't have a history, like a time history, it's kind of weird to have PagerDuty in there. Like, just if you want the current on call and current secondary, yeah, but
no, if you run it every hour, it's like pretty good. It's pretty good. But yeah, that is kind of weird, right? 'Cause things, I mean, schedules are probably changing every half hour. So
Hmm.
actually, I guess okay. I don't think. Hmm, I feel like no schedule ever changed like at like the 8 minute mark. It's always like maybe at 1:15 it'll change, right? But I feel like if we adjusted this every 15 minutes, it could actually be pretty
Yeah,
useful.
I mean, even once a day, like most of the time, it doesn't change. Um,
Right.
like what would be really nice, well, I mean, if PagerDuty basically had like a very fast cache that was off,
That'd be
like
pretty
on
cool.
call for X. And so anybody doing, that could support like a million. Well, I mean, even like that's the thing. Like a lot of this stuff, it feels like the people providing the service, like PagerDuty, would be well served by having like just a fast cache that can do like a million QPS, just on call company X, service Y.
They should. I mean, they really should. It makes sense. I mean, like the G Suite API, the G Suite API is kind of like that, and it needs to be because people are pulling in their organization data all the time, right? They're pulling stuff.
hmm.
So I mean,
Yeah, I
PagerDuty
mean,
should be the same
it's like
way.
cheap to build this kind of shit. I mean,
Yeah.
like even if you don't have an auth CDN, you could still just have a fast kind of, like C++ or Go or Rust app server. You can do this
I
stuff.
mean, this is pretty simple data, right? You're not returning gigabytes and gigabytes. These are typically pretty
No,
small,
no.
quick calls. So
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
This
the thing is that it is just like the whole thing, right? So it's like getting your whole organization structure during a week into a single place.
yeah, that's true. This ingesting the whole thing. This will probably take a few minutes to run this thing. So hopefully we can run every 15 minutes or something like that. Or actually, I mean, let's try to use this.
Like an hour. It's like an hour a day. So once a day. It depends really a lot on how the schedule changes. Because if the schedule changes like frequently, and also something that I was thinking about. So
No,
for our organization, for example, we have uh, schedules that end on Mondays. But other times we have schedules that end on Wednesdays. So it's up
right.
to like every team or every schedule really how when it ends. So probably running like every day might get you all data sometimes, and there is not single day that you can say like, oh, if you schedule on Mondays at 8 a.m., it will be like super updated.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right. And it really depends how this data is used too, right? Depends how we're using the PagerDuty data. Uh,
yeah, we use it for on calls to understand like, hey, who's the owner of this? We need to like send the information about it about something. So but you could use this for I don't know uh, assign tickets in the future. I mean, if you have the whole schedule with the different people that it's on a schedule, then you could like take actions in the future. But it's really not something that you use in cartography, but more like that you consume from cartography to do something else.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. Cool, 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 cool. Yeah, I do wish Ryan Lane was here. He could tell us exactly how PayPay is using the PagerDuty Intel module. Because, like, for us, we never needed any of that data. Like, we didn't need a lot of that data, right? We only needed who was on call at this moment and that happened to be available in a different source at Lyft. I wonder how PayPay is using all the other information, the schedule overrides, all that stuff. Like, I'm curious, but um, cool.
It would be nice to have kind of a very up-to-date map of the org, but like it's not obvious to me how to like query this even. Like yesterday I was trying to figure out how to get like an employee name, their team, and then all the teams that they're kind of part of. But like, a bunch of employees are in different groups and orgs at the same time and
Yeah.
pillars. And it's like, it's great we have the information, but I'm not sure you can even query it usefully for more than one person at a time.
Yeah, that's queries. I actually I think there probably is a way. It's just like it's probably very complicated. It's probably very weird, and we might also. I mean, the fact that our data is only coming in every from Agrifest. No, actually, from the service catalog, we get data hourly, so there might be some weird discrepancies, but it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't. The data should be fine. The query might be strange.
Yeah, yeah. It bothers me that it's so tough, or it's such a complicated.
Data model for the service catalog stuff. Yeah, in fact, even querying their API is like not trivial, but it's probably easier. Honestly, querying their API might be a little bit easier than
Oh
using
yeah, I mean a lot
cartography.
of teams just do that. They don't. I mean, they just look up the service catalog straight up.
Yeah,
But like I
which
was
makes
just
sense.
like looking at the teams data because I want to build a compare. I'm going to build a tool for myself to see who quits every day or leaves the company. Because previous places I've worked have had like really nice ones. Like at Twitter, everybody had their own one. They were super fancy. Like went and fetched all the photos. And you got like a little daily report. Um, but I was looking at like, okay, integrating teams data, pain in the ass, but I can just query cartography for all this shit, of course, all the PII, and it was just like, yeah, like ideally I can group it like by pillar, org, everything, but it was just like, man, this is a pain.
No, that's a shame. We should make it easier. I mean, this is where client functions would be really helpful. Now, I will say the
Can,
service
can,
catalog thing
can
is
we
Lyft
talk
internal.
about that? Yeah, client functions sounds promising for me. I mean, having client functions so that you can just like call a simple CLI or have a small REST API that you query, it will be like fantastic because you don't need to think in graphs like for everything. In order to simplify the query of information, sometimes you don't need to know like all the relationships and how they are connected. You just want to know something that's like, who is the manager of Nico? Who is the manager of Eric's?
This is basically, we have a bunch of hard-coded functions.
It's just a bunch of hard-coded functions, but that will make query information like super easy and super fast.
Yeah, isn't like Alex said he's working on a library for this.
He is doing that,
Like,
yeah.
what's the library exactly doing? I know very little about this.
It's really
It,
simple. Yeah, Eric, you go for it.
it's just a library of Python functions that underneath are querying information, and sometimes either query directly, like having all the information queried from the graph, but others doing a correlation with different queries, because it's like simpler to write a few lines of Python code to like merge stuff and everything, and sometimes faster. Uh, then yeah, it's just querying
But it's
information
not like
in a
writing a
small.
DSL that like basically makes
No,
the Pythonic. Oh, okay, okay.
no. But because making a DSL would be nice, and it's probably connected to the other thing that was discussed on the last month or 2 months ago about having an ORM. I saw ORM somewhere. Introduce ORM to help with stream ingestion. Uh, so look like. 2 months ago they were discussing an ORM as part of the metagraph discussion. So it could also be useful for like having a DSL to query information.
Yeah, I mean, like given the effort of building a DSL and then maintaining it with all the as the various stuff comes in would be a huge pain probably. Um,
Sure.
you know, with all this stuff, I guess the question is always who's going to actually use it.
Yeah. Other new feature is the Kubernetes cluster integration. Yeah, I saw that. But I mean, I saw the PR, but I didn't saw the PR. Let me find it. Where is the Kubernetes ingested information? PRs. Hmm. Let's wait for Kunal. I'm not seeing the PR for Kubernetes ingestion. Have you had like a hard time anytime trying to find information on the graph, Nicholas? Like
I would
writing a crazy query to get information?
I would say not necessarily. Um, Drive my pain. I would say not really. I mean, the problem is that it's very difficult to tell what's in there, and you know, it's like there's the whole kitchen sink in there, but a lot of times I'm just trying to get simple tabular data. You know, it'd be the same thing as a join, basically. Okay, you know, give me all the, you know, services, and then join that with like the owning team and get the on call.
Yeah.
I mean, there's cases where one could be, I'd be interested in doing a more complicated query, but I just wouldn't do it in cartography. I'd build a graph representation in Spark, honestly. Because
Yeah, like
because it's so
export the
much more.
data and then after exporting it, you like somewhere else.
Yeah, because I would basically rebuild the structure somewhere else. Like the thing is, the graph queries are not, they're opaque in the sense that you can't really, like, I don't even know how you maintain them versus a little program that like a batch compute program makes a lot more sense for like analyzing a recursive data structure. Like it's great to use this query, but it's like, it's not necessarily as obvious to me for maintenance, unless everybody's going to be, you know, really know how it goes versus, oh, you know, using like any sort of MapReduce program where you can basically say, okay, we have step one, we have step two, it'll do this, it'll do that. Just, you know.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. That's why you use the Spark for the cases that we had, and it works nicely.
Well, I mean,
using it
I use
right
Spark just because of the like data warehouse integration mostly, but yeah, it's, you know. I have a prototype somewhere. Well, This is great. My laptop won't let me. It won't let me look at the browser window now. Whenever I go to the browser window, it'll shift over with the video. It'll shift over to a different screen.
Yeah, it does that.
Oh my God, Chrome is so garbage, or Mac. But I have a prototype to try and use Spark's graph stuff. I'm really curious how well that would work for some of these queries I want to try, but I've been too busy with a bunch of other work to try and do that. Something that we should consider in general is, and I've like had this on my list too. It's getting local stat. I think we have Docker Compose for the open source, but getting local stack in the Docker Compose, which is like an AWS analog, a fake AWS that you can set up locally, and then using that to build kind of basic queries, and then getting a copy of Flight or Airflow in there, so you can start. The open source community has like a reference for how to do that stuff for interacting with the graph.
I think that'd be amazing, especially local stack. I feel like local stack, I've heard such good things about it. It would take our unit testing, to the next level. It would take testing to the next level for sure.
Yeah,
and
I mean, a lot of the stuff, right? Like the unit test, you can have a unit test, but it's not that convincing.
Agreed.
And I mean, there's the people who hate integration tests, but like it's like there's the combination of things is always better. But it like makes it really obvious. Like I want to test something. Oh, fantastic! Local stack kicks amazing ass. I mean, isn't there like some sort of hackathon or something coming up internally that we could like just set this up in a day for?
Honestly, I've not seen a hackathon. I've not seen a hackathon at Lyft since. Yeah.
There was this Fleet Hackathon 2021 wrap up.
Oh, it was one a month ago, but it was only for the Fleet area.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I mean, like I get all these emails from these people, but I have no idea what's going on, honestly.
We're part of Fleet, by the way.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. This is all being recorded, like shows how little I like engage in various aspects of my employer.
Exactly. So anyway, a hackathon, it's a very good hackathon idea, and probably if not at least at some like event, open source event
honestly,
or something,
this
we
is
can
something,
do it.
I wonder if we could pawn this off on someone like. Well, we'll see. I think we have some new people joining my team. And you have Desiree and a few other people. I think you like are getting more people too soon. Like it could be a fun thing for people who aren't as familiar necessarily with Docker and this whole setup to try and like set up.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that offline. But it's a good idea for somebody that doesn't know a lot about
local stack is
Docker
pretty
and
cool.
Docker
Like,
Compose.
you haven't used it, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's there's the custom parts. So essentially, it's a product of Atlassian. There's the like cheapo, crappy open source version. It gives you basically like basic Amazon crap, specifically like Dynamo and S3, which is a lot of what you want. I don't know if it has any of the security stuff like I am, and it doesn't have Elasticache for sure. But you can also just spin up like a local Kafka or in Docker Compose, right? You can basically have your various containers. So you could have like local stack, and you could have like a Flight or Airflow analog, and I feel like local dev might use some of this stuff. I think Amazon, or not Amazon. I think Atlassian's honestly like looking at building a local development environment in general as a product. I think
we could use it for both unit tests and integration tests, or really mostly for.
It's more for integration tests, but it's also for like development. Let's like the vision I would have when I've used this for other stuff. It's essentially been that you have like a local Dynamo, and you can actually like go query it and make sure the stuff you put in works properly. Query performance, of course, not going to work, but it's more convincing than just writing unit tests, especially if you aren't familiar with Dynamo. Like, let's say you introduce some sort of, something more complicated than just like a get, and you're like, oh, okay, I have X, Y, Z in Dynamo. If I run this query, what actually happens? It's a cool tool. Okay, maybe that's something I should show for a brown bag. Like maybe that would like give them brown bags in a while, and that would probably be something a lot of people would be interested in.
Yeah, if you can
I
show off
think
local
so.
stack, I think it would also complete our testing story because we have our jailed unit tests and our cartography integration tests as a way to show that okay, we're writing the right stuff to Neo4j, right? Like it really shows the sync process. It shows that the sync is working. Local
Mhm.
stack would show the other end, the sources. We're querying
Yep.
the sources
Yep.
correctly. So I think yeah, it'd be great to show to brown bag, and it'd be great to put into cartography at some point for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll see if I can motivate myself to do it sometime end of the year.
Yeah, or we can make a ticket or an issue too, just saying, oh, use local stack to improve both local dev as well as the integration test story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll once like I think I'm actually close to having all my deliverables for the quarter. So
There you go. There you go. Add this
then
in.
I can like
It'd be
do
pretty
something like
cool.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good option, but sounds like a good option for somebody that doesn't know a lot about what happens underneath.
What do you mean, sorry?
So basically, somebody new to local stack, Docker,
Hmm. Yes.
Spark, and any other like ETL platforms running. So
Yeah, I mean, well, it's less good for the ETL. I don't think they have Kinesis, Kafka, Airflow, and local stack. That's probably one of the paid local stack things.
uh,
But that we need to do separate. I still think that's worthwhile. Also, I think I'd want to do that as part of it. But as you said, Kunal, right? You get like the source, and then you have kind of the fun thing is this lets you prototype stuff ingestion pipeline really easily. Like, let's say it's like right out, like, we have our crons, we run the crons, dump shit into Spark, or not Spark, dump shit into S3, and then do a single batch update. Like that
I
stuff
absolutely
in
agree.
theory you can do. Which I wish we had done that this year, or at least done a little bit more, like tried, it doesn't need to be all at once, but like a few of those, like, as Alex had a plan for this, but it never happened, I think, with all the vuln management stuff.
The developer velocity, right? This ties into developer velocity, being able to prototype a new pipeline super easily. I think this is what Eric's is saying, right? Like you could probably write up you could not have used cartography before, you could not know the code base, and you could hop in and make a change
mm,
in a day, right? Like that's
Yeah.
actually coming back to full circle to service catalog. I remember when I had to go make some changes to service catalog. I forget what I was doing. Either I was integrating into cartography or I was doing something else, or I had to go make a code change there or something. I remember that dev environment was so easy because they relied on Dynamo, and they had a script that like ran Dynamo locally. It was
Yep.
incredible. So yeah, actually, or it was a mock Dynamo or something else. I don't know. They didn't use local stack, but they mocked everything locally, and it made my life so much easier. So we have to do the same with cartography. A project this big needs to be. We need to start checking those boxes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta sign off. I have the next few hours of meetings, but yeah,
enjoy your
maybe
meetings.
I'll do that by the next one.
Cool.
Would love to see it.
A nice
Yeah.
fun.
See you, Nicholas. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Eric, anything else you want to chat about for cartography? Because I
No, no,
actually go at
no,
10 o'clock as well. But
no,
okay.
no, no. It's fine. I think we can close it. It was really nice, like discussing with you about like the product that Cartography is itself, and some new features that probably we can like integrate and use. Okay.
Yeah, it was great chatting with you too. Yeah. I'm curious, have you ever used anything like cartography at a job previously?
No, but I have seen that cartography or indeed graph databases, graph information, it's used for like other. I have just seen it mostly for pen testing, really. So finding, I know that cartography started as a red team project.
Yeah.
Now we use it in a completely different way. But I have seen people using graph information in order to find new paths for exploits or attack vectors and things like that, attack surface or things like that. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Like, I always thought cartography's like tagline should not be like, "Oh, see everything." I always thought cartography's tagline should be "Automate the red team," and like that should be the goal. I think, and Alex is in charge of it, so he's running it. But I do think like the tagline for cartography should be "Automate the red team," and that'll change a lot of how we use it and how we innovate on it.
Yeah, I mean, and probably some of the further discussions about cartography in the future will go that way. Will go, how do we automate red teaming with cartography? Because that's what I have seen previously in other conferences and so on. I mean, not Intel, like a threat intelligence,
Okay.
rather than a way to like attack things. Yeah,
Right.
cool,
Right.
cool.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, well, it was great chatting with you, and I'll stop the recording now really quick. I'll share this with Alex later so he can post it. Um, and